And here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 400, milestone of the All Dolphins Podcast on this Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. And surely you recognize the gentleman to my left, my right, depending on how you're looking or how I'm looking. Omar Kelly of the Miami Herald, the man with whom I started this podcast in March of 2023. And here we are.
400 episodes. Man, that's a lot of episodes. It's a lot of Dolphins talk.
It is. And we try to keep it fresh, keep it moving, have some lively debates. And today we're going to talk about the massive news that just dropped. The Dolphins need a backup quarterback again.
You mean a number 3 quarterback again?
Yes.
Yeah, they just got poached.
They got poached for the second time. CJ Beathard. No, and I bring it up in that fashion because I know they were like, in certain spaces here, it was like suggested, "Oh, this is a big upgrade." Mike McDaniel loves this guy. Yeah, okay. You just got him off the streets in October.
Yeah, I mean, props to San Francisco. I've always been surprised that they didn't go out and get a better quarterback, even when they signed Tim Boyle. I was like, that's the best you could do, and I get it. You want somebody who understands this offense. Somebody who fits a scheme, familiar with the terminology. Go find somebody that you could develop. Go find obviously we see what's happening here in terms of now. How long is Tyler Snoop Huntley going to be sidelined?
Well, he's got 2 more games left.
2 more games left, but do we know if he had shoulder surgery? Do we know if it happened to his throwing arm? So do we know if he could still throw the football? Clearly now they got 2 weeks to bring Tim Boyle back or go find. Yeah. I mean, it can be done. I mean, it's worst case scenario here.
I know. I understand that it's like what break glass in case of emergency, but why? Probably because there's nobody else out there would be one reason.
I mean, I think you could find somebody. I remember there's a Texas A&M quarterback. I can't remember his name.
You're not going to Kellen Mond, are you?
Yes, I am.
Man,
what's the problem?
I would like to know, other than the fact that Perk knows him from.
No. I liked him before I knew Perk knew his father and all that kind of stuff. The kid has a live arm. He's got some.
Oh, arm queen alert.
Guilty. Does he necessarily fit this offense? No, but look. My perfect example is Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs was a number 3 quarterback.
Sorry, this is Omar with Joshua Dobbs.
I love Joshua Dobbs. I don't know why everybody else doesn't. He's a number 2 quarterback in San Francisco right now, playing in this exact same offense. I make the argument that you can bring Joshua Dobbs here as he's the number 3. Who's ahead of him? Damn.
Brandon.
What's his name? Yeah, the one that supposedly Mike McDaniel doesn't like. Can't remember.
No. He's with the Rams. Keep going. I'll look it up while you keep.
Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen. I doubt it. I doubt he's
number 2 on the depth chart.
Okay. All right. Listen, Joshua Dobbs, to me, you add him here. He's intelligent. He's smart. He's quick trigger. He can execute to his offense, in my opinion. We'll see.
Dude, I don't disagree with you that he would be a massive upgrade over what the Dolphins have rolled out outside of Tua so far this season. And that failure to me will be the big failing of the season, unless we're all wrong and then Skyler gets another shot and lights it up.
I do want to address that because Skyler said something when I talked to him a couple weeks ago that he broke his ribs like early in the first quarter and continue to play. Not that that's the excuse that will justify what we saw, but it's a factor in terms of his performance. And I appreciate and respect the fact that he gutted it out and tried to continue to play. And then the rib shot at halftime, right before half, that certainly didn't help. And playing in a difficult environment in Seattle, that certainly didn't help. Do I want to see Skyler get another opportunity before I sit here and toss him out? Yes, I would. Whether it be in training camp next year, not in season, let me correct that. Not in season. I think if we're starting Skyler at some point, then this season is absolutely flushable. Even though a loss to the Rams will make it absolutely flushable anyway. So we're 2 losses from flushing this season.
No, I agree, because technically, if you look at the history, 9-8 sometimes can get you in the playoffs. 10-7 will get you in the playoffs, but again, Dolphins are 2-6, which means they can afford, if that's the right word, 1 loss, maybe 2, and still make the playoffs. But they have a ton of road games left, and they haven't necessarily been good on the road under Mike McDaniel. That setup being presented, you good with their decision to stand pat at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I would have only been shopping, not buying.
Who would you have shopped?
And if I were buying, I would shop for a defensive tackle. And Jordan Phillips was out there, by the way.
We're going to mention him.
Yeah, he ain't coming back here though.
There you go. Come on, Omar. This is Omar and Jordan Phillips.
Yeah, that's my buddy right there. Who's had a hell of a career and forced his way out of another team. Props to him. Listen, you probably need to retire in Buffalo, brother. It's worked nowhere but Buffalo. So just go back home. I would have only shopped for a defensive line help. I know you need pass rushing help, but I view everybody else as a progress stopper at this point. If I want another pass rusher, I go claim somebody off a practice squad. I would have been shopping, or I would have at least been listening to offers. I would have, if I felt like they were ready to give up on the season, which they clearly are not. I would have traded Calais Campbell to a contender, done him that solid.
Yep.
Teron Armstead, if somebody offered me something higher than a third round pick, which I knew was probably not unlikely, you could have him for the highest bidder could have him. I would listen to offers for Jalen Waddle, because I'm sorry, at this point, does that look like a $21 million receiver? It does not. And hey, I'm not even using the excuse. Even when Tua has been there, Jalen Waddle has not looked like a $21 million receiver.
No, I agree with that. No, and I saw it was in your column on MiamiHerald.com. I think it was yesterday, where you kind of look at a couple of little jobs at Jalen Waddle over there, and yeah, it was a hefty salary or hefty contract that they gave him for not a whole lot of production. But the offense, we have seen the metamorphosis of the offense, where it is now run game, short passing game. I mean, the over the top days.
No, don't do that. You're trying to make teams respect your run game, and then it opens up the over the top pass game. But teams have really committed to making Miami work hard for everything, and I'm not necessarily certain that they're built for that. Now, could they metamorphosize themselves and change into a team that is built for that? Sure, but I would think that this offense is at its best when Tyreek and Jalen get 15 targets per game, and we're just not there. And whether we got there intentionally by adding the tight end and emphasizing passes to the backs, I don't know, but we are where we are. And I wouldn't even blame the offense on where they are as a team right now. At this point, with Tua, it's the defense that's struggling, and the defense that's falling short of expectations, and the defense that's not delivering wins. Tua's handed the defense 2 opportunities to help them out, seal the game, get the offense back the ball against Buffalo, and they pooped the bed.
Oh, they did. But and I hate to do this, and I know you'll love it, but I'm going to do it. This was not a great defense ever this year, and and they're thin.
Okay. So they were a Fugazi defense in your mind when they were a top 5 unit.
Yeah, and we're playing great quarterbacks. I mean, they were top 5 in yards allowed, but every time situationally they needed a big stop, like after a quick turnaround. Yes, Buffalo game,
They were number one on third downs defense.
I understand that, but the example I'm giving, for example, against Buffalo, they gave up 250 yards. Okay, which is good. Giving up a 49-yard touchdown run right after you got stuffed on 4th and 1 is really, really bad. This is what I'm talking about. They were situationally not good. Against Seattle, the final tally in terms of yardage for Seattle was 330 or something, which is not huge. But you gave up 17 points in the first quarter, including, how long was it, 71-yard touchdown right after you make it 10-3. Situationally, they were not good, even though the total yardage. So to me, they were never a great defense, and they're thin as hell, and some other guys are overrated, and all of a sudden, oh God, I hate saying it, especially to you, but you had some key injuries that you're simply not equipped to overcome, including, you mentioned the defensive line. Well, Zach Sealer's a guy they couldn't afford to lose. And then you got two secondary guys who've missed the past 2 games, Storm Duck and Kader Kohu. And then Javon Holland didn't play last week.
Yeah, every unit on that team and defense is battling an injury some way. You lose Jalen Phillips on the edge. You lose Zach Sealer for the last 2 games. David Long is battling leg, knee, calf, hamstring, inability to cover.
Well, yeah, it's the latter because he played on special teams against. A
couple of runs. They're trying to rest his leg. We know David. We know David was battling a knee thing from training camp, had surgery, and same thing Mike Grable said. Soft tissue violator. It was going like this. It was going like this. It was going like this. But he had never been good in coverage. So you pair the injury with it, it's just bad.
Okay, but I'm going to stop you this injury here. No, David Long Jr. is not getting a pass for an injury when he played double-digit snaps on special teams against Buffalo. If he was dealing with an injury, you don't play him on special teams.
Okay, you're taking more off his workload. Let me make this argument to you.
And he was not on the injury report at all.
I know that, but that's a lie. The guy's been battling a knee, hamstring, so all of a sudden he's magically not on the injury report. He's trying.
That means he's not. He's getting every rep he would normally would get, and he's not getting treatment for it. Sorry, not buying it.
Okay, all right, fine. Let me say this then.
Go ahead.
This is the first time, because I wrote a column earlier this month, pointing out one of my major criticisms of Mike McDaniel. He's buddy with everybody. Like literally, nobody can get cut on this team. No, everybody. If you made my team, you're on my team. You're part of the family. Nobody's getting cut performance-wise. Nobody's ever getting demoted. There's been one demotion, and this was the column. One demotion in 3 years of Mike McDaniel. That is, Julian Hill beat out Durham Smythe and took his job as the lead inline tight end. Mm-hmm. That's it. Until last week, where David Long, from a performance standpoint, lost his job to Anthony Walker. So that says there's an awareness on Mike's part that, A, I can't be buddy with everybody. My job is on the line. Everybody's job is on the line. And we better do what we need to do in order to put our best foot forward. Because they knew going in the Buffalo game, Buffalo's game plan was going to be to target David Long and Poyer, and with the tight ends and attack them. And so what Miami did, in my opinion, is a smart thing. They took one of those targets off the field. Now, and I don't think Poyer cost him the game. I think that was one of the better games that he played, with the exception of the penalty. And I hate to sit here and say a guy in a play that happens at the snap of a finger, a helmet level thing. I hate to sit here and say that, Poyer should have known better or should have done better. Like, it was a bang, bang play. You disagree or agree?
Yeah, I saw the replay I rewatched it like 4 or 5 times just to see if I could find, like, to be on his side. And it looked like it was a kind of a head hunting type of move. And it's like, why? I know you want to make the big hit. You want to ensure that the guy doesn't make the catch. But it was reckless. And
5 years ago, would that have been a penalty?
Helmet to helmet, yes.
Did they have the helmet 5 years ago?
Yes, they did.
10 years ago, would that have been a penalty?
Okay, not in 1975, that's for sure.
19. What about 1997?
No,
2007. No.
Important point to make, though, because I know Julian Hill is enemy number one, or is near the top of a lot of Dolphin fans, but you kind of saw why he's in there on that 3rd and 1 where Durham Smythe got completely blown up and pushed back. He got pushed back into the backfield, and it completely killed the 3rd and 1. That forced the Dolphins to settle for – no, it didn't force him. It enticed Mike McDaniel to go for the field goal instead on 4th and 2 in a game where the Dolphins could not leave points on the field because you knew their defense was going to get scored on. And this is what I put on Twitter, and I got a lot of pushback. If you came into this game expecting the defense to win it or hold Buffalo to 17 points or something like that, sorry, that wasn't happening.
Was not.
You could not leave points on the field. That was points on the field. Mostert fumble obviously is points on the field because that ends a drive.
What happened to Durham?
He's bad. Tua fumbling this. By the way,
yes, solid as an inline blocker. What happened?
No, he's used to be very, very dependable with his hands too, and he's dropping passes. But my bottom line is the Dolphins could not allow to leave points on the field, and they did, even though overall the offense did play very well.
I find everything about Dolphin fans unhealthy. But there's a certain faction of them who like blame the offense for losing that game or not doing enough. Or I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't know if they could have played Buffalo any better than that. I don't know if they could have played anybody better than that. Huh?
They could have.
Where? How? Except for, okay, don't fumble.
Again, it was a good performance by the offense, but this was a game where it needed to be a step above. It needed to be like what the Dolphins did against the Chargers in the 2023 opener, where that game they were like really. There was one pick. Outside of that, they were really, 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 really good. And this game, again, it needed to carry the team. That's not the same thing as saying you blame the offense; it's their fault they lost. No. But their defense right now is not good enough to beat Buffalo without getting massive help from the offense. And there are 4 plays that stand out on offense. The first drive was killed by the sack, which came after Tua dropped the shotgun snap or bobbled it. May have gotten sacked anyway because Russo was on him very quickly. You got the fumble by Mostert. You got the 3rd and 1 that got blown up, which was like at the 14-yard line. That's cost you 4 points. And then you got the 2 underthrow to Tyreek Hill on the drive with that, the 28-yard completion, where, look at it again, sorry. I mean,
you're not in that camp. I cannot believe you.
It's a 28-yard completion. If we're talking about the optic of, or the topic of how do you beat the Bills?
Had to put it in that spot to put a completion on the board. But anyway,
the dude waited for it for like 3 seconds. What are you talking about? Come on now. And I say this saying that the dude played really, really well. Okay. That was not a good throw.
His best throw of the game was not a good throw. Okay.
Not even close his best throw of the game.
What was his best throw of the game? Not that Waddle touchdown.
He had the 3rd down completion to Waddle near the sideline was a really, really good throw. He had one to Tyreek over the middle was a really nice throw.
Okay.
No. In my IMHO.
That pass that he threw to Tyreek, which is his patented pass. We see it in practice all the time. That corner teardrop. Come on, man. That thing is. Are you mistaking games? You're talking about the one against Arizona, because the one against Buffalo was down the other sideline, and Tyreek turned around, basically had to wait for it. I mean, that was not. It was thrown a little bit late, and it was thrown short. I'm thinking about the one from Buffalo, but anyway, we
can agree to disagree. We've done, not that we've ever done that before, but for a first time here, let's do it on episode 400. We'll agree to disagree.
I missed you, brother.
right back at you. Right back at you. Butch Barry doing a hell of a job.
Hey, listen. I'm actually going to write a column this week after I do my midseason grades and flog everybody. I'm going to write a column this week that Chris Greer gets the last laugh. For now, at this very moment, their top performing unit is their offensive line. And you got another unit? What? Give it to me.
No, I was gonna do a but.
Okay, let me hear the but.
When the Dolphins had a less than desirable quarterback situation because of their poor planning, the offensive line had the opportunity to really step up.
They did eventually.
No, they didn't.
They started against New England running the ball and efficient. I mean,
yeah, but it wasn't there against Tennessee. It wasn't there against Seattle.
Okay, they were working there and getting there. They lost to Ron in Seattle. They didn't play with him for what game did they not play with
Tennessee?
For Tennessee. Like Tehran, is the catalyst behind that whole thing. So I give you an excuse. I give you an out. Here's my thing, and I don't believe in Pro Football Focus grades. But for Pro Football Focus to recognize Tehran as the number one offensive tackle in the NFL this year, and Aaron Brewer as the number 2 center, which I think it's been okay. I'm not a huge Aaron Brewer fan, just from the standpoint of it's all right. It could get better. It's not a Connor Williams-esque. I just think a lot of that is their scheme. And also, where's the big run? Think about what Miami has done this season from a run game standpoint. Last year, big run. I'm not sure they've had a big run.
Devon Achane, 47 yards.
One against, and that was Arizona.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna keep looking. Go ahead, keep making your point. I'm gonna.
No, I would like to see and I think that's the only thing that's going to open up the passing game for Tyreek and Jalen, if Jalen can still run a 9 route.
Did you just say if Jalen can still run a 9 route?
Tell me last time you seen it.
Damn.
Tell me last time you seen it.
Well, is it maybe because the defense keeps playing so far off him that it's pointless to do it?
I don't think the film is showing that.
Okay.
And mind you, you played 4 games with inferior quarterbacks, and I watched them grin and bear it all season, him and Tyreek, and they're trying to make the best of the situation. They're out there blocking like monsters. So props to them for what they're doing, but you are the highest paid receiving duo in the NFL. Are we seeing the highest paid receiving duo in the NFL? Justin Jefferson, I used to sit here and I used to bang the table. Tyreek is better than Justin Jefferson. You could not make that argument. Huh?
Not this year, he ain't.
You could not make that argument to me that Justin Jefferson was better than Tyreek. I don't have a leg to stand on. Not a single leg. Because everybody knows Justin Jefferson is going to get the ball. He's double covered every single snap. He still get the ball. How come that's not happening with Tyreek? And I get it. He's battling some injuries. But what did we pay this 30-year-old $30 million for if he's not going to be an elite dynamic weapon? Right now, I can't even argue that Tyreek is a Pro Bowler.
Because it was the summer of
everybody gets paid.
You get a new contract. You get a new contract,
man. Anyway,
but this is why they went going back, and this is a roundabout way of going back to the trade deadline. This is why, to me, they were not going to blow it up, because they kind of committed to this core, and especially the fact that they played well against Buffalo. It's like, okay, it's a matter of time. This is a game. Yeah, it easily could have won.
Matter of time for what? Finish that sentence.
That they're going to start winning games, and maybe go on a little run if they can pull off the win at the Rams.
And what's a run look like? 6 of 9.
Again, here's the thing. Hold on, hear me out. The Rams, we're going to agree it's a very winnable game. Then you got.
They also could kick your face in because I think they're a way better team than what the record says.
They're 4-4.
I mean, Dolphins are 2-6.
No, correct. You are what your record says you are. Then you got Vegas. Then you got New England. If you don't win those two, sit everybody down and tank for a draft pick. I mean, seriously, because those are two really, really bad teams. So now, if they can go in that 3 games string, now they're 5-6, and then it gets us to one of the key games, which would be Thanksgiving at Green Bay, with Jordan Love right now dealing with a groin injury and looking like booty cheeks. In honor of your parents, here, the game against Detroit, and they traded Preston Smith, Preston Smith, even though he wasn't playing particularly well lately, and they wanted to give some young players more of a chance. So,
wouldn't it be nice to have young players who need more of a chance and more of an opportunity? No, sorry, but let's move on to another subject.
Well, since you mentioned that, I'm going to point out something, and I don't know if you noticed it too. I eyeballed Mohamed Kamara on a couple of plays. He got 5 defensive snaps. I got my eyes on him, like, deliberately a couple of times, and it was like, okay, now I see why he's been inactive every week. I mean, he looked a dude like, oh, what's going on here? What am I supposed to do? That was a little bit. I mean, it was a little disheartening.
There's nothing here. There's nothing here to like invest in for the future. And that's indictment problem number 1 for me about this roster. Okay. Offensive line. Are we investing in Liam? Are we investing in Robert Jones? Are we saying they're the future? Defensive line. What the hell is there? And props to Deshaun Hand.
Sealer.
Huh?
Sealer. Yeah. Deshaun Hand's a keeper, but
yeah, I props to Deshaun Hand because he's been one of the more pleasant surprises of the season, and probably the guy that I will say is one of the top up and coming young performers, even though he's not young anymore. He's actually not young.
28 or something.
Yeah, he's a 7-year veteran. Him and Zach are the same age. But linebacker, nothing. Cornerback, do you want to say Cam Smith is something? I don't know if I don't know if the jury's still out yet. Tight end. Jonnu Smith young? He's an 8-year veteran. Wide receiver, Malik Washington. Is that really, okay, Devon Achane is and Jalen Wright, 2 young, promising backs, but you got nothing young. Nothing to say, oh, let me go see that vet. Let me go see that player. Like, people are like, yeah, pull the plug and play the young players. What young players?
Patrick Paul.
Yeah. And then take away arguably your top performing player on your team.
Oh, no, I agree with you. Again, if you're operating under the idea of we have the talent, the ability, we're the kind of team that can make a run, even though the odds are not very good. Yeah, you can't trade Teron Armstead, and you can't trade Calais Campbell because he's been one of your best players, unless Calais Campbell comes to you and say, boss, I'd really like to play for a contender, and I don't think it's going to happen here. If had that been the case,
yeah,
then maybe they should did him.
I would have sent a horrible message, but it would have to the team, but it would have been the right thing to do. Now, no, you can't cut him because he's subjected to waiver. It is what it is, man. Maybe cut him at the end of the year.
Who?
Calais.
You don't have to. He signed to a 1-year contract.
I know, but I'm saying so he can play for a playoff team.
Oh, you mean cut him after the regular season? If the Dolphins don't make the playoffs, let him hook on to it.
Cut him, yeah, I think you got to cut him before the season ends.
Okay.
I think enough teams respect him enough to not claim him. And I believe in doing right by people and doing right by players. And Calais has done everything right here. If some team that was a contender would have offered me something, I would have seriously, I don't even care what it was. I would have seriously considered it just because you need to do right by him. He came here for minimum
Mhm.
and came here because he thought this was a contender. Not his fault that it's not a contender. If he has the opportunity to go sign with Baltimore or sign with the 49ers, he deserves the opportunity. 17 years, you deserve the opportunity to play for a ring. My personal opinion, I definitely think you should consider cutting him at the end of the year, doing him that solid.
Assuming you to me that you have a chat with him and he makes it clear that this is it, I'm done. I'm not playing another season.
Uh, he might be able to play another season.
Because in that case, I say, bring him back. I mean,
No,
dude,
no.
yes, bring him back. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you bring him back? He's been like one of your top players.
I agree with you, but he needs to play for a contender. Are we at this point like we're facing more of a rebuild than I'm not buying the we're contenders talk. I'm not anymore.
We're talking 20. Right now, we're talking 2025. Let's assume they can't
You
make.
got to do a whole magic trick to build this team back.
You actually think the Dolphins are going to enter the 2025 offseason with a big picture outlook of like, we need to build for a couple of years on the road because this is not happening now, as opposed to
what's here?
Sorry?
What's here other than
Tua, Tyreek Waddle, H.N.
Tua, expensive receivers, a run game. That's it.
The genius of Mike McDaniel. Again, this is what,
and I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm really not.
Not at all. No,
I'm really not. Okay.
But this is what they did. All of this offseason. I don't think it was just strictly just. They thought, okay, we have a group that can contend for a couple of years, and
at best, this is an 8-win team. At best,
this year, okay, but damn well that they're going to look back at this season and go, all we have to do is plan better at quarterback if something happens to Tua, because that's what derailed our season. It's not.
I need a fresh set of eyes to take the reins of this organization. I need to trust that my next GM is not going to waste draft picks and waste big money and actually make the right picks. I have, and I'm not a Chris Greer hater, but I have absolutely no confidence that he could fix any of this. None. Zero. He made it. He's been GM 2016.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the head decision maker in the organization 2019. He selected or been part of the selection of 4 quarterbacks. That includes the trade for Josh Rosen, which I begged him not to do. And like, how many head coaches has he hired? Has it been 2 or 3?
Well, is it him or is it Stephen Ross?
No. You're the head man in charge. I don't want to hear none of that. Stephen Ross and Tom Garfinkel, I get it.
It's all about collaboration.
Yeah, but that's his biggest strength, collaborating. Okay, we collaborate to mediocrity. Like, can we do better? Like, are you certain, no matter what they're picking, let's say they get the 10th pick in the draft, are you certain they won't whiff on that?
No. But are you also certain, let's say they finish 8 and 9, which means they would go 6 and 3 down the stretch, which sounds reasonable.
Could happen.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. Do you think it's really that strong of a possibility that there will be a change in the GM seat?
Yes, I do. And you know why? Because the one thing that this organization has been masterful at, and I credit Tom Garfinkel for this, they figure out a way to sell hope.
Mm-hmm.
You are not selling hope with keeping things status quo. You're not. There's no free agent you could add. There's no trades you can make that would inject hope right into the veins of the fan base. Like the other day, I learned how much season ticket holders are spending on their.
Your eyes bugged out, didn't they?
I was like floored. And I'm sorry, you can't charge me that and give me Chris Greer and say everything will be better. It'll be all good. Because he's finally going to get his act together after 9 years. Like, are you serious? Like, that's not selling hope. And that's the one thing. They have two fears. Apathy, which is here, which is existent. You lose to the Rams, it's really going to get it's going to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is going to care because they want to be relevant so bad. And that's why everybody got an extension, because everybody got relevant. Everybody made me relevant. Everybody made this team hot. Everybody, they are probably one of the most irrelevant franchises in the NFL right now. And Steve Ross hates that. How do you get relevant again? There's only one decision that, to me, that's there. And I know he won't allow the new GM to fire Mike McDaniel, because that's not how he does business. So
Correct.
This is the Steve Ross, Tom Garfinkel two-step. This is how we do things. We got to figure out a way to sell hope. If they don't win 6 games the rest of the way, and I would say 6 only gets them to 8. And that's not even a winning record.
Correct.
They don't win 7 games, Greer is done, in my opinion.
And you would put the percentage. Okay, so let's, under your scenario, they finish. What did they finish? 7 and 10?
8 and 10. 8 and 9.
Okay, and then what's your percentage of probability that they make a move at GM?
70%. No.
Okay.
What? How else are you? The modus operandi of this organization is what? Sell hope.
No, I agree with that. But it's also what were they pinning everything? Because there was some down moments at the end of last year, the way it ended, and it was all about if only we had been healthy.
Yeah. But you know what your record is with Tua Tagovailoa as a starting quarterback?
I'm sorry?
You know what your record is with Tua Tagovailoa as a starting quarterback?
Not quite as good as Jay Fiedler's, but go ahead.
1-3. 1-3. And I don't care what you blame it on. It's just not good enough. You've been at full strength the last 2 weeks, and you took L's to Arizona Cardinals, and you took an L to Buffalo Bills. More than likely, you'll be you haven't been at full strength. You haven't had Zach Sealer, so I don't want to say that. So I'll take that back. When you have Zach Sealer back.
By the way, the Dolphins record with Tua as their starter this year is 1-3.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh no, you said with. Okay, so I thought you said without. You said they're 1-3 with, 1-3 without.
Yeah. It's the same with or without. It's
Correct. The big difference, they played Buffalo twice when he was in the lineup, and I'm gonna say it. They beat Tennessee and they beat Indianapolis with any kind of competent quarterbacking, with all the respect to the guys involved.
Yeah, and they have Tua. They probably beat Seattle too. Seattle wasn't doing anything.
That would maybe certainly maybe. So
I mean, but we're heading into irrelevant town and mediocrity land, and there's only one way off the train.
See, I'm going to put it at 50-50. If they finish 8 and 9, I'm going to put it 50-50. There's a GM change and a head coaching change. To me, is like
that ain't happening.
10-90.
10-90. Okay, 10%.
Yeah.
I know that you won't want to change the head coach because you might feel like it would take a step back with Tua if you want to continue to invest in Tua.
They don't have a choice. I mean, they basically. I mean, they're locked for the next 2 years.
You always have a choice. You always have choices in life.
Steve Brown's Cleveland, Deshaun Watson. We really think he was in the lineup because he gave us the best chance to win. Come on.
Hey, you always have a choice. You know what?
You're not sitting Tua with the contract he's making, and
you can trade him. You can
trade on the contract.
I think nobody's gonna. I mean, listen. You always have a choice. You always have options. And you could always exercise those options. Now, I am not a bench to a trade to a guy. I'm I'm all on board. Now, I would like for him to be like, I've been waiting on you to be clutch. I've been waiting on you to put your cape on. Still waiting.
Well, dude, I mean, and by the way, for those who want to call me the tour hater, he was clutching on against Buffalo. I mean, not his fault the defense couldn't.
I'm not arguing with you,
right,
but that clutch performance has to deliver a victory. Arizona, you could have scored one of those field goals. Could have, and turned into a touchdown. We need that. That's what this team needs. And I'm not saying that he's not capable of doing it, because I believe that he is.
Correct.
But what am I going to wait 6 years for them to drop? Like,
for what to drop, Omar?
For his Nerf balls to drop.
There you go. For his minerals. They say in the great movie Snatch. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's a fabulous movie.
No.
Highly recommended, but you have to watch it with subtitles because you will not understand half the dialogue. They speak in very thick Scottish English accents, but it's a great movie. Anyway, on that note, see how I close that out? On that note, we're going to wrap it up for episode 400. Here's
400 laps around the podcast world.
There you go.
Congratulations.
I'll make sure to have you back on for episode 500.
All right. But it's a date.
And phrase differently, please. All right.
That should be what, the off season for you?
And hopefully before then as well. Please like, subscribe, share all that good stuff. I am Alain, Poupart, Miami Dolphins on SI. He is Omar Kelly of the Miami Herald. Catch his work at miamiherald.com, as well as his own podcast on the Miami Herald.
Dolphins in Depth.
Dolphins in Depth. Thanks, everyone. Until we meet again.